Plaintiff Karen Rivera says the defendant is her brother, and they've always been close because their home life wasn't great, and they were kicked out when they were 17. Karen claims the defendant is irresponsible, can't hold a job, and has anger issues. And she's suing him today for driving drunk and wrecking her car. Defendant Jonathan Rivera says when he was 18, he joined the military. And as of this moment, he has a full-time job where he works 40 hours a week. Jonathan denies owing Karen for the car because he let her live with him and cared for her children for 6 months.
Start with you.
Your Honor, this year's my brother. Me and him have always been close since we were little, more like best friends because our home life wasn't the greatest. By the time we were both 17, we were both kicked out, and we've always looked on each other for help and someone to lean on.
Well, were you all kicked out?
My mother remarried, and her husband didn't, I don't know, I guess he had something against us, and he just decided to let us go as soon as possible. My older sister and younger sister were kicked out when they were 18, but we were the lucky ones when we were 17. Mm-hmm. Me and my brother have always been close, but he's always been the type to be to himself. He cares about himself a lot. He's his only responsibility is himself. He's just always had a temper. He's just a very angry person. Him and my older sister would fight physically all the time when we were little. Now he doesn't even speak to my older sister, younger sisters. They call him, or they think of him as the low life, and he's just never been a good person to rely on. He's never held down a job. He's always been job to job to job. This here's my brother. Me and him have always been close since we were little, more like best friends because our home life wasn't the greatest. By the time we were both 17, we were both kicked out, and we've always looked on each other for help and someone to lean on.
Plaintiff Karen Rivera is suing her brother, who says he and Karen were kicked out of their home when they were 17 years old.
Why do you think he has those problems?
I just think that he's just the type of person that likes to have fun. He like I said, he's just been a selfish person, which he has nobody to care for. He's just.
How does he take care of himself?
He's just the type to party. He's always going out with his friends.
Eat, sleep, roof over his head, that. Because you suggested he's never been responsible.
Well, when he left the Air Force, he was living in his car for a while.
Okay, went to the Air Force. All right.
From what he told me, he left because he wanted to, but I was told otherwise from my mother that he got kicked out.
And he lived in his car.
Yeah, so I helped him out. I would let him stay here and there with me and my boyfriend at the time, and he was, I would feed him, let him shower, do his laundry, pay for his laundry to be clean. Then he was living with an ex, and she was working, she was paying the bills. He did work for a while, but then he was let go of his job.
Let me hear from him. Sir, you want to give me some background?
Yes,
you said
hi.
you're irresponsible and you've been in a lot of trouble.
Right. Well, right now, as of this very moment, I am working. I work I do 40 hours a week. I have my own apartment. I get myself to and from work, which is a 2-hour commute. But a little bit about myself, like she said, we are best friends. She's the Luigi to my Mario. I'm flicking my wrist while she's dabbing. She's my best friend overall. Like, I love her to death. Like she said too, we were both let go at the age of 17. So despite our older sister and younger sister, we've kind of been, a little bit kind of more of a rough patch. But now, like she said, I got out the military. I've been cycling, just trying to find myself back.
When you're in the military, what years?
2012 to the end of 2013.
How old were you when you went in?
18.
All right, and you're 22 now?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Gonna be 23 next week.
Okay, so you're just starting to be responsible. A lot of young men grow up slower as it relates to responsibility and maturity than women do. And he's 22 years old, he's still doing his thing with no responsibilities. My sons are somewhat responsible, but not as much as my daughters. They're highly responsible, and my sons are getting there, and they're in their mid-20s. They all take care of themselves. They don't depend on me other than for an extra couple dollars out of the goodness of my heart I might give them. Nonetheless, I'm making an excuse for you. That's perhaps his issue. He's immature. Let's start with the value of the car and why you're suing him for that.
I woke up from a phone call from an officer at 11 in the morning on July 2nd, telling me to get my kids' stuff out of the car and they were going to impound it. So I went to the police station, and I took my kid's stuff out of the car, and I, was wondering what was going on, what's happening. And the officer told me that they had found, I have this arrest report. They
All right.
basically
Tell me.
They basically just found him slumped over the wheel, and he didn't really know what he was talking about. He didn't know where he was, and that they had to impound the car because it was involved in a DUI. So now it's just too much for me to get out of the impound, so I have to give my title up to the city and pay that DUI charge.
Yep, that impound's more than a violation, typically.
Yeah.
And, sir, how do you respond to this?
I don't feel like I owe her anything. At the end of the day, I apologize and I'm sorry for what happened. But at the end of the night,
3,000 in the hole. I'm sorry.
At the end of the day,
And that's enough. At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, Your Honor, that night we were both out. We were both hanging out that night. She let me use her car, and for the most part, I don't feel like I owe her that money because ever since I got out the military, when I was living at my apartment with my ex-girlfriend, she had nowhere to go. Ex-boyfriend calling. She had problems with the ex-boyfriend. Everything was a total mess. Everything. She couldn't call my mother, she couldn't call my father, let alone my older sister, who she says doesn't talk to me, and that's not by choice because if my older sister were to call me right now, I would love to talk with her. I love all my family. She had nobody else to call. She calls me because she has nowhere to go.
All right, and what happened?
And I let her stay with me. I let her move in.
How long?
6 months worth, and I also took care of her child while she was
All right,
working.
how much did you tell her she would owe you?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Oh, that was a gift.
Yes, because
All right, well, she's not giving to you. She's suing you.
Right.
So tell him thank you and tell him where's your money.
I've always been very thankful to him.
Yeah, well, she's already told you thank you for that.
Whenever I, when I was living with him, they would
So
use
what
my
do you
vehicle
want, an
all
award?
the time.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, well then, she's told you thank you.
It's just, Your Honor, also, like I said, it's been more than one occasion where...
Did you tell him thank you every time?
I mean, I paid him rent every week, and then my other vehicle had at the time.
How much?
I paid him $50 a week.
Every week?
Every week. Yeah, every week. I actually paid it to his girlfriend because she was the one paying rent. It wasn't him.
From child support because you weren't working.
No, I was working. I was working with his girlfriend in the same factory as her.
And you
pregnant
quit because the hours were hard.
Pregnant, I was working, and he was
Quit
at home.
because the hours were hard.
Hand this to him.
Good man award.
Thank you very much.
You're good now, you're fine, you got an award for all the things you've done.
At the time we were both 17, we were both kicked out, and we've always looked on each other for help.
Well, were you all kicked out?
My mother remarried, and her husband didn't, I don't know, I guess he had something against us, and he just decided to let us go as soon as possible.
Plaintiff Karen Rivera is suing her brother, who says he and Karen were kicked out of their home when they were 17 years old.
Now let's get back to this case where you were negligent and you were drunk out of your mind. And you told the police, let me see, you had been drinking all night. And then you said your final 2 words, I'm drunk. That's what you told the police. You're a good, honest man. I'm gonna give you another award, Honesty Award. Honesty Award. You were very honest with the police. You said, I'm drunk. I haven't heard that before.
Congratulations.
Honest Award. Congratulations. Now pay your sister her money. This is negligence in the worst way, sir, and it risks the lives of others. So we're joking and laughing, but this is nothing funny about you driving drunk, risking other folks' lives. Thank God nothing happened to anyone. And I hope you're not doing that anymore. Were you charged and fined and convicted of this?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You are totally liable for this. Hope you become more responsible before you kill someone and go to jail for life. And secondly, she did not abate the debt that you owe her based on the things that you did for her in the past. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
I just hope that you learn your lesson and you get your life together, because I really do care about you.
I hope that my sister realizes that I've been on that track and that whenever she needs anybody, my mother, my sister, or anybody else won't be there for her, but I will, and I'll always still be there for you.